A very good morning to you. Thanks for clicking on to this special UK and Europe video forecast for this morning. It's the 9th of September 2011, and we've got some pretty interesting weather for all weather geeks out there, including myself. I'm quite excited, to be honest with you. We have at the moment what is Category 1, 80 mile per hour Hurricane Katia, but certainly the models have been persistent. And of course, which is good news, keeping it off the eastern seaboard of the United States. They do not need another hit at the moment, especially with the tremendous flooding that we've been seeing across the portions of the mid-Atlantic as well as the northeastern United States. Some tremendous flooding, historic flooding. In fact, 2 historic floods within 2 weeks has just made a pretty dire situation for many folks over there. So my thoughts are, of course, with you at this time. But thankfully, Hurricane Katia is going to behave herself with the United States. It's going to stay offshore, and it actually has its sights on the UK. And it's been, like I say, the models have been persistent with that. But I'm going to pull up. I've got the Meteor Group. I've got the GFS model at the moment. This is the surface map. And you can see here, I'm going to point out a couple of things. First of all, this is the United States. There's Canada, and this is the northeast of the United States. You can see New York City there. I know it's not very clear, and I apologise for that. Here is Greenland. This is all the North Atlantic Ocean, folks, and we've got the United Kingdom here. Now, you're saying to yourself, where's Katia? Katia is away over here, and it's a pretty strong Category 1 large hurricane. And you can see here, folks, the nature of this with a tropical system rather than the baroclinic system. I'm going to point out 2 features here. We've got a cold core, baroclinically driven area of low pressure here. You can see it very large, spread out. And of course, you've got all the isobars, and you've got fronts with this as well. You'll probably have a cold front drip down here, and then perhaps a warm front up to here. As for Katia, you can see here that all the rings, these isobars, are all tightly packed together, all concentrated around this wee inner core here that I believe is in the 970 range in terms of central pressure. But you can see the difference here between the warm core. It's all cut off, it's all driven on its own over the warm waters, fueled by warm waters, and not by the upper levels of the atmosphere like this system is. So there is key differences. What I will say is this: while Katia is over to here, at basically the area where this area of low pressure is at the moment, Katia will look more like this as opposed to this, and that's the difference with the tropical system as opposed to a mid-Atlantic area of low pressure. Now, what I'm going to say is this much: this is going to be tracking all the way up across here and into Scotland, influencing Scotland and the northern half of the UK, northern half of England, and perhaps Wales, of course Ireland as well, probably by around later in the day on Sunday, and it will last throughout Monday, perhaps even into Tuesday as well, as a very strong area of low pressure. Now, actually, interestingly enough, this here, I believe, is around the 970 range in central pressure. By the time, folks, the model suggests by the time it's up to here, the central pressure could be lower than what it is at the moment as a Category 1 hurricane. That's impressive, and that's actually something, folks, to be paying attention to, because it shows you the energy that it's going to maintain from here all the way across the North Atlantic while it's transitioning from a hurricane, fully warm core, fully tropical, into a baroclinically driven system. It will become attached to the westerlies, the jet stream, and it will rip across the North Atlantic. In fact, it's probably going to cover a solid 800 to 1,000 miles probably within a day and a half or a day even, because it attaches a strong flow in the upper levels of the atmosphere here. When you're farther down in the tropics, you can see here, folks, where's all the lines? Because you've got high pressure here, and these systems right underneath this high pressure. And what we're finding is the flow always tends to be reasonably slow in the tropics It's driven by the trade winds that go underneath these ridges, and basically they follow the weaknesses in these ridges, these hurricanes. If they go too fast, they will not build up enough strength, they'll not organize enough. But up here it's different. You've got colder, you've got warmer, you've got the jet stream that's driven in between this, and it's going to ride and attach to the jet stream and rip across probably a good 50 to 60 mile an hour across the North Atlantic. That's why we're going to see a system that's here all the way across the UK in a couple of days.